Aloha y'all, Daniel Aaron here, your guide to vibrant living. And what's your experience with gurus, Darshan, Shaktipat? Weird words perhaps, I'll explain. You may have heard of kundalini awakening. I have spoken about kundalini energy and kundalini awakening on this channel before, including my first life-transforming, totally discombobulating experience with it. And here I'm going to give you another layer of how it works and how it worked for me. Now, in the traditional guru-disciple relationship, let's just rewind. One of the ways that works is the guru is someone who reveals the light of the disciple. The disciple, in connection with the guru, becomes more of who they are, more alive, more awake, more pure. So, one of the traditions that comes to us from Hinduism and India is that the guru can offer some energy to the disciple. It's often called Shaktipat or Darshan. Darshan is like a gathering where the guru transmits something like an energy, right? Now, in traditional ceremony, satsang, these kind of things, sometimes it's done through a touch, and in its sort of exalted or mythical form. And I'm not doubting this necessarily, by the way, because I have experienced this kind of thing. The guru can actually touch the darshan, and it's like a wave of electrical energy goes through them, and it awakens something in them. It releases something in them. Now, this can happen in many forms, and here is the surprising way it happened for me 7 years ago, something like that. It was during the period of my life where I was somewhat obsessed with my mentor, Tony Robbins, right? From the first time I met him in person, I realized, wow, this guy has an amazing ability to help people transform. The way he led groups, what he was doing was so impressive to me, and the results they were getting were so impressive. I said, hey, you know what? He's an exalted figure in the same line of work I am. I'm going to spend as much time with him as I can and learn and absorb so that I can be more effective in my service to other people. That's what we do when we're dedicated to growth in whatever our field is. So, I had been already to many events and listening to lots of his information. Ooh, good, we got some neighbors, we got some kids hanging out. And I had gone to his program called Date with Destiny. And this was in Australia, near Brisbane. During the event, now mind you, I gotta tell you, I have tended to, when I go to events like this, in order to help myself get the most out of it, I tend to fast or do liquids only. One, because it's such a busy schedule and that makes life easier. Two, because when we are cleansing or fasting, we become more sensitive to information. Information in the big sense, energy information. So, it was, I think, day 4 of his event, and I was sitting up in the front in the, the special Platt VIP section, and I was sitting right on the end. I always would do that, to sit on the end if I could, because 1, there's more room to jump out and dance, 2, more proximity, and something that just, I don't know where it came from, came to me years ago when I would go to seminars with any of my teachers, even if it was a big group, 5,000, 10,000 people, like would often be the case with Tony Robbins. And, he would be moving around the audience and his image would be up on the big screen in front. And most people would actually have no idea where he was in the room because he was being filmed by these big cameras and they would just watch the screen. He might be standing right behind them, but somehow it occurred to me that better was to just turn and be visually present with him. I had the sense that, for me anyway, I could absorb better. Because here's the thing. The information that he shares, that any of our teachers share, is great, right? Well, hopefully, if it's a teacher that we resonate with. And the information is less important, actually, than the vibration or the energetics with it. first time I saw Eckhart Tolle speak, he said something that stuck with me forever. He said, if you don't understand English, you'll probably get even more out of this talk. And I was like, huh, interesting. And what I realized he meant is that the words, the information, that's just in a way to keep our minds occupied so that we can absorb the frequency, the energetics of it. So, going back to Australia with Tony Robbins, day 4 of the event, he was walking down this aisle, right? It was the aisle between, section 1 and section 2, like that. And I was, in my yoga style, sitting cross-legged on my seat, and I was fully turned watching him walk this way. And it was one of those weird moments. We'd barely met prior to this, like a handshake and a hug and passing a couple words. And in this moment, though, he was speaking to the entire group, and he had the headset mic on, and the cameras were walking backwards in front of him. And he was walking down the way, right, not toward me personally, but coming in the direction where I was sitting. And as he was walking down, being that most everybody else was looking at the screens in front, I was looking at him, and we locked eyes, right? Fascinating. We locked eyes, and he, like the consummate professional he continued to speak to everybody and did not miss a beat and stayed right with me, eye contact the whole way. And he started out probably, 30, 40 feet away, walking toward me. And he kept coming, keeping eye contact all the way toward me. And so I did the same. We were just locked on each other's eyes. And then he came up and he stopped right next to my chair. Now, I don't know if you've met Tony Robbins in person or me in person, and sometimes when people meet me off camera, they say, "You're shorter than I thought you would be." Well, opposite is the case with Tony Robbins. Taller than you would expect him to be, and bigger. And so he stands right in front of my chair, right next to my chair. Again, I'm on the end, and my head is like level with his belly button at this point. And, so he's way up here and he's looking down at me and speaking to everybody, but looking down into my eyes. And he stayed there for, maybe a minute and addressed everybody. And we didn't keep eye contact that whole time. At that point, he kind of looked around. And yet what happened is his energy field, for some reason, this may sound really silly, but I firmly believe it. There's some karmic connection there, so that I was somehow especially sensitive to his energetic field for whatever reasons. Because I esteemed him, because I valued him, because we have some connection. I don't know, and I'm not making any big story about it. I saw it play out over many different interactions we had, though, over those years. And so he stayed there, and when he walked away, I felt this energetic shift inside myself. Okay. Didn't think much about it because there's a lot going on. There was a couple thousand of us there. I had friends there. I had employees there. The seminar kept going, and this was maybe the 4th day again. We had like 6 more hours to go that night. When I left that night, though, and I walked home, I was like, felt like this energy running through me. And so I walked from my Airbnb down to the beach, went for a swim there, and I was just buzzing. An hour later, went back, go to bed. No luck on sleep. I was just wired awake. And so I continued. We had 2 more days of the seminar, something like that. And then I flew home from there to Bali, where I lived at the time. What occurred for me, though, after that was a kundalini awakening, or another level of kundalini rising, which was the longest one I ever experienced in my life. I've had many of these, and I described them elsewhere. What occurred, though, was that I had this surplus of energy and this clearing out of maybe energetic blockages that lasted for 2.5 months. During that time, and I know for some of us this is going to be like, you're lying, this is not believable. I didn't eat. Well, it's not true. It's not that I didn't eat at all. I ate fresh spirulina, and every few days I would have a bit of raw cacao, and that was it. I didn't lose weight. I didn't lack energy. In fact, I had a surplus of energy, to the point that, and if you know about kundalini symptoms, one of the experiences that is common is when I was alone, when I allowed my body to relax, the energy would just shake in me. And it kind of looks like a seizure, and in a way it is a form of a seizure. It's just excess electrical energy releasing. And during the course of those 2.5 months, like happens sometimes in a kundalini awakening, it was challenging for me to relate to a lot of the normal earthly things. It was challenging for me to run my business. I had 2 different computers blow up, not blow up like, but blow up as in they stopped working, which I firmly believe was a result of the overload or the flux of my own energy that was happening during that time, electrical energy. And I also had this extremely interesting experience where my normal intuition was heightened to the point that when I interacted with a lot of people, I knew what they were going to say before they said it. I knew what was going on. It was bizarre. So, I tell you all of this. 1, hopefully it's interesting and maybe entertaining. 2, as we are still working with this great theme of gurus and disciples and this topic of Shaktipat and Darshan, the passing on of energy, let you know it doesn't necessarily have to happen in an ashram or with a guru touching you in this way. There are many ways it can happen. And, right, going back to something I've shared with y'all in another place, which is that when somebody is ready to awaken, when they are dedicated to awakening, a way will occur. When they are not ready, when they're resistant, when there's fear, whatever is blocking them, doesn't matter what technique they use, it's not going to happen. So the invocation to guru, the big teaching of what that mantra means is, if we want our own light to be revealed, if we want to experience it more, if we want to awaken, life is full of opportunities, full of gurus, teachers to help us with that. All right, I shall wrap it up here, y'all. I hope this was interesting, useful. I would love to hear from you. What do you think? Am I crazy? Is this nonsense talk? Have you had some experience like this? Drop a comment down below and let's have a conversation about it. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Aloha.